Welcome to this evening's regular business meeting. We're going to have our invocation from Dr. Pastor Tom Allen, Associate Pastor of Harvest Baptist Tabernacle in Jonesboro. It will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would, please stand with me.
Let's pray together. Father, God Almighty, we thank you for this day to serve you, to breathe your air, to serve the King of Kings. Lord, I thank you for America, where I heard the truth of Jesus loved me. Thank you for the state of Georgia and Clayton County, where I serve, Lord, along with these that serve here on this Board of Commissioners. I pray for your divine wisdom upon our lives, Lord. God, America needs you. Our youth need you. They're weighing in the balance, and God is these commissioners, Lord, prepare for the future. Give them almighty wisdom from on high. We thank you for them. We thank you for their humble hearts, their servants' hearts. And God, we thank you for a place, God, where we can reach the world that comes here every day. And God, breathe on us one more time on America, God, we ask. And we ask it in the mighty name of Jesus, not a weak Jesus, but a conquering King. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our September 20th regular business meeting. The first order of business is the adoption of the agenda. Do any board members have any amendments?
Yes, Madam Clerk. I would like to remove from the agenda item number 2, the present benefits plan 2023 presentation. I think we got to take a vote on that, right?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, because somebody might want to still have it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
true.
so
If you want to remove it from the agenda.
totally from the
Yeah.
agenda. All right. So on this item here, that's my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any questions? All right. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Next item I need to remove or ask to remove is item number 7, recommendation for award number 22-213, purchase of ProCare services. That's my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Any questions?
Yes, why is it being, that's for a fire department? What is the reason for it being removed, or is it just gonna come back?
Chief
to us
Murkison.
later date?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Legal and Central is still working through some of the contract language as far as some of the indemnification clauses that are in the contract. So being that that's not squared away yet, it will come back to hopefully the next board meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item I would like to remove is item number 12.
We didn't vote.
You didn't
Oh,
vote on
wait,
that.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Next item was number 12, 2-12, for the Sheriff's Department to appropriate funds to provide lock and hinge repairs. That is the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hambrick. Any questions?
Again, this one, what is the purpose of removing it?
Mr. C.O. Or Stacy, you gonna take it? Ms. Merritt?
Hey, good evening. We're removing it because they're going to move forward with a contract and we'll bring it back under an emergency basis. So as soon as we get some information from SO on what it's going to take in between time, then we'll bring back some additional funding requests then.
Okay,
Is this
thank
the
you.
one with the sole contractor?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Because it does not rise to the level of emergency. Is that what it
Correct.
was? Okay.
Yes, and Director Rogers will be bringing it back at the October board meeting.
And y'all have kept the Sheriff's Department up to date?
Yes,
I
sir.
believe they're here to speak to themselves.
Okay.
Major Chris?
Good evening. So the lock situation is going to be handled through the central services portion. We'll be coming back later on for a work between as it relates to what is needed for us to provide services within the jail. until we're able to get the locks replaced. So that's something we'll bring at a later board meeting.
But you've been updated. That was my only question. You've been kept abreast as to what was going on with it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
If I may ask my question, I just want to make sure that, again, based upon how information's been flowing to this board, not that you've been kept abreast, but are you in agreement, because you all are a separate office, constitutional office, are you in agreement that we're going to wait until that time?
Well, the original plan was to move forward as quick as we could.
So how did that change?
It was advised that, being that it's a county building, this is something that the actual county will have to move forward through central services to procure.
Okay. I have concerns because we read those emails and they're very serious. It says this needs to be done immediately. And so you were advised, but you all are actually law enforcement that are responsible for making sure that those inmates are in there, especially right now. So who advised you? Was it somebody else that's a law enforcement agency? Or, I mean, was it your sheriff, your interim sheriff? Who advised this?
That information came by way of Mr. Chuck Reed as well as the COO.
Wow.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay, for the purpose of one that is not trained in security on behalf of the county makes that recommendation. I just have concerns that we're putting our county in this position to where the board is making a decision about the safety of those that are that are inmates and them being safe. And but those who are responsible for it have advised that this needs to be done immediately, and we have that in writing. So mine is nay.
Mine is nay also.
Okay, 3-2, it passes.
Thank you.
All right, next item is item 14, Resolution 2022-190, authorizing Clayton County to apply for, and if awarded, accept grant funds. This is the $6.5 million in American Recovery Plan Act money. So the motion is to remove. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Commissioner?
Okay, we're removing it. Does that mean that we're not applying for it?
No, we're going to
or-
apply. It's going to come back.
Okay, because you know what my question is, that once we apply and get it, who will be the people to distribute this to our citizens?
Ms. Stanford.
Commissioner, the stipulations on the grant right now is that it has an expiration date of December of 22 of this year. Our goal is to be able to provide you, before you vote on it, who will be facilitating those funds as well. So that's one of the reasons why we're asking to table it until the next board meeting.
Okay, so what exploration, is that exploration to apply for it or exploration for it to be spent?
There's no date for which you have to apply for the funding. We just have to have the funds expended by December of this year.
I have a question.
Commissioner Franklin.
Can you present that to us in writing, please, so that we can see? Because there are a lot of different grants out there. And again, I need to make sure that we're seeing exactly what's being spoken to us and that we're identifying the information you're sharing with the correct grant.
Most
Do you have
definitely.
that information this evening?
Yes, we can send that information to you once I go back to the office.
Okay, so but we have to vote on it now, though.
You're not, we're
No, we're
pulling it.
taking the motion.
You're but that's my point. We're voting to take it off the agenda.
Correct.
And for instance, if we don't know specifically the time frame that it has to be applied for, or either to say we want it, and we also don't know whether or not the information being provided to us verbally is in writing.
So you would like for us, you want to table it until the end of the
We could
after
do it until
executive
after
session?
executive session. Yes, please.
Well,
Well, the motion is already on the
I was
floor.
about to say it's not my motion, so motion was to
Pull it.
pull it until next meeting. I think we got who's second the
A
motion?
second, I second.
Madam Vice Chair.
Commissioner Hambrick.
Okay, and I do
Second
have
motion.
another question.
Yes, ma'am, go
Before we
ahead.
go to something else. The question I have is, that's a short time to spend that amount of money.
Yes, ma'am.
So do we have some people in place to work on that as far as What are these businesses or companies or whatever?
The goal would be, the entire presentation will provide you who would be the facilitator of the funding, as well as giving you a plan of action as to how quickly we can expend those funds. Was one of the reasons why we wanted to bring it back to you at the next board meeting. If we felt like we could not cover both, meaning a facilitator and getting the money back out by the end of the year, then we would make a recommendation to the board that we don't even apply for the funds.
Okay. So we need additional information before.
Yes,
going
ma'am.
forward. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Okay, and Commissioner, I'll still send that information.
Any other questions?
My only, more than a question is a statement, and I think that we've held this now, how many weeks, Madam Clerk?
It's been a couple weeks.
For a couple of
meetings.
weeks now, and operations has been telling us they're going to get that information to us. We talked about specific plans moving forward, and we don't have that information. So I just have a concern that we may be foregoing bringing in funds that can be used for our citizens simply because this board is not presented with information within a timely manner. Because if it's been a couple of weeks, then that means it's probably more so at minimum 2 weeks between the last meeting and this meeting. So I'm ready for a vote.
Any other questions? All right, those in favor, aye. Aye. Oppose? It's unanimous. Next, that's it for me. Anybody else?
Yes, I'd like to remove item number 25, ordinance 22-208.
25, ordinance to remove public comment to the beginning of the board meetings. Motion is to remove it from the agenda. Is there a second?
Second?
All right, any questions?
I guess my concern is, are we concerned with the public's comments or not? Is this changing the duration of the public comment or the time limit with each speaker can speak?
Good evening. No, only thing this would change is the location.
Is the location from the end of the meeting to the beginning of the meeting?
It would be before, it'd be right after the consent agenda is adopted, or if there is no consent agenda, right before the regular agenda.
Thank you.
Well, for me, I'm always supportive of hearing what citizens have to say before voting on items, but I think it's a good idea to move it back. Any other questions, comments? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Nay. 3-2, it passes. Are there any others?
Any other?
Other items to be removed or added,
Yes.
or placed on the
Yes,
regular agenda?
number, let's see. That's already, number 18. Resolution 2022-201, Atlanta Regional Commission, the matching fund.
For the aging program?
Yes.
And you want to take that off?
Just put it on, no, I would
Put
like
it
to
on the
put it on the
regular
regular agenda.
All right, then, you got that, Madam Clerk?
I'm clear.
Any others? All right, hearing none. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Are there any questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Our next item is a proclamation, Alzheimer's Awareness Month. This is presented by Commissioner DeMont Davis.
Clayton County Board of Commissioners recognize Alzheimer's Awareness Day. Whereas Alzheimer's Disease International celebrated its 10th anniversary in the UK on September 21st, 1994, at the opening of the annual conference, ADI launched World Alzheimer's Day to be observed globally on September 21st of each year. And whereas the day aims to raise awareness about the stigma that presents Alzheimer's disease and related dementia, and whereas the theme for World Alzheimer's Day 2022 is No Dementia, No Alzheimer's, which has a special focus on post-diagnosis treatment and support, the warning signs of dementia, and the continued effect of COVID-19 on the global dementia community, and more. And whereas the Clayton County Alzheimer's Service Center, led by Ms. Sylvia Dennis Ray, Executive Director, is asking everyone to wear purple on September 21st, 2022 in support of World Alzheimer's Day. And whereas in Georgia, it is estimated that 150,000 people 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease or other forms of dementia, and by 2025, that number is projected to be 190,000. And whereas Alzheimer's disease is the sixth leading cause of death in the United States, and whereas 1 in 3 seniors die with Alzheimer's or a form of dementia, killing more people than breast cancer and prostate cancer combined. And whereas in 2019, there was an estimated 4,221 deaths from Alzheimer's disease in the state of Georgia, and this number is expected to rise. And whereas in 2020, COVID-19 contributed to a 17% increase in Alzheimer's and dementia deaths, and whereas more than 11 million Americans provide unpaid care for people with Alzheimer's, other forms of dementia, and whereas we walk in hope to finding a cure, we walk for the first Alzheimer's survivor. Now, therefore, I, DeMont Davis, Commissioner, on behalf of the Clayton County Board of Commissioners, do hereby honor and encourage all citizens to join the Alzheimer's Services Center in celebrating Alzheimer's Awareness Day on September 21st, 2022. The Clayton County Board of Commissioners extends a special thank you to the Alzheimer's Services Center in Clayton County for the extraordinary services provided to those who suffer from Alzheimer's disease and dementia, as well as the support afforded to their respective families and caregivers. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Clayton County, Georgia, to be affixed this 20th day of September in the year 2022.
Thank you, Sylvia, and all the hard work she puts into the Alzheimer's Center. They've been going through a very stressful time, and thank Mike Brown from the board for being here. We've got to begin to support these individuals. We've got to begin to listen to these individuals who cannot speak up for themselves and who are going through that debilitating disease towards their end of the year. So let's all look out for them. Let's all look to support them in many different ways. And you're also having what's the event coming up? I might as well say it right now.
It's an old school house party. So we have an old school house party on Friday. It's at Griswold Senior Center. We just want to just have a good time, raise funds, and 6 to 9, 6 to 10 actually. We're gonna go until 10.
We might need to get security over there.
But the theme for this year is no Alzheimer's and no dementia. So we're just trying to create new memories for these clients and for any of the caregivers so that they can have a good time with their loved ones in their last days. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, before we go on to the consent agenda, we have Judge Shannon Malone in our presence this evening, and she would like to extend an invite to the board. So at this time, please, Judge, if you'll come forward.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And I'll make this quick. Chairman Turner, Vice Chairman Hambrick, and Commissioners, I am Shana Rooks Malone, Clayton County Superior Court Judge, Organizer, and Presiding Judge of the Clayton County Behavioral Health Accountability Court. The mission of the Clayton County Behavioral Health Accountability Court is to provide a court-supervised diversion program to adult offenders who suffer from a severe and persistent mental illness, including those with co-occurring disorders. In November 2019, I hosted a planning team meeting made up of criminal justice personnel, mental health experts, to discuss the need to have such a program here in Clayton County. In 2020, the court launched its first meeting in July 1st, 2022. The Clayton County Behavioral Health Accountability Court program began in the midst of a pandemic to provide treatment for individuals who were nonviolent felony defendants with a severe and persistent mental illness. This accountability program is an intensive outpatient treatment program which provides an opportunity for those with documented behavioral problems or co-occurring disorder to get treatment and avoid additional incarceration if they successfully complete the 18 to 24-month felony program. The participants receive judicial monitoring, group and individual counseling, assistance with housing, and support with transportation during the early stages of their treatment. As the participants progress through the program, they move to different phases of the treatment in order to facilitate their transition back into the community. The Clayton County Behavioral Health Accountability Court consists of several dedicated partners, including but not limited to state, federal agencies, local community agencies, and individuals. The target population includes individuals who have been charged with nonviolent criminal felony offenses, who have challenges with behavioral health issues, or who may be dually diagnosed with substance use challenges. We currently have 10 active participants in our program. After several demanding, intensive months of participating in this program, we will have our first 2 graduates. Our graduation will take place next Tuesday at the Clayton County Courthouse, courtroom 402. My coordinator has previously sent each of you individual invitations. I just come, number one, to say thank you. Thank you for your commitment to the citizens of Clayton County and to accountability courts in Clayton County, and to say thank you. And I'm personally extending an invitation for you to come join us next Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock to see our 2 graduates who we started this program years ago, and they'll be coming out of the program on Tuesday, and we're very excited about it. So thank you so much for your time. I hope to see you next Tuesday.
Thank you, Judge, and we thank you for all the work you and your staff are doing as well.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions on any other items? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Our next item is item number 18, Resolution 2022-201, Chief Staff Attorney Charles Reed.
Good evening. I don't believe I said good evening to y'all the first time I stepped here. But good evening, Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Board of Commissioners. Resolution 2022-201 is a resolution to amend Resolution 2021-217 by correcting the award period for the Atlanta Regional Commission servicing the aging program, to authorize the chairman to execute the agreement and otherwise perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Commissioner Hambrick.
Yeah, I'm not clear on the match. It mentions for this match to be satisfied salaries, satisfied through salaries of the employees.
Yes. Good evening. So every 2 years we apply for this grant with ARC, and there is a required match. Actually, there is a typo. The actual required match is 22%. So the actual required match is $162,903.81. However, because our county is so invested into our senior services department, we actually matched that grant at $660,000 with all of our employee salaries that provide the direct services.
Okay, so that's what I'm not clear on. You say with their salaries.
Yes, because they allow us to do what they call an in-kind match, and you can use the salaries of the employees that do the work to provide the service that the grant. Right now, when we receive services from ARC, we have it set up where we use the grant money just for direct services. None of our grant funding is going towards salaries. The county pays the $660,000 for those salaries.
Okay, that's good then. So we don't actually put money out. We just say that we have
Yes.
that amount of money.
Salaries.
Correct.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? Or you finished with your
I'm
questions?
finished, yes,
sorry.
I've finished.
Any other questions?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Our next item is item number 28, board appointment for the Board of Appeals.
All right, first appointment is for the Board of Appeals, Ms. Frances Solomon. Term on the Board of Appeals will expire September 3rd, 2022. New term will begin September 3rd, 2022, expires September 3rd, 2025. Any recommendations? Now, I did speak with Ms. Solomon, and she is looking forward to being reappointed, so I offer her as a reappointment. Is there a second?
Second?
Any questions? Those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Next board appointment, Solid Waste Authority. Ms. Edie Young, term on the Solid Waste Management Authority will expire August 20th, 2022. New term begins August 20th, 2022, and expires in 2026, August of 2026. Commissioner Anderson.
Yes, sir. I would like to appoint Mr. Mario Swain for the Solid Waste Management Authority.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Next, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 appointments is to the Impact Fee Advisory Board. The Clayton County Impact Fee Advisory Board was established with the approval of Ordinance 2022-170. The committee shall serve in an advisory capacity to assist and advise the board regarding the adoption of a development impact fee ordinance. The board chairman, each district commissioner will have 2 appointments in which the composition of members shall be comprised of no less than 50% of members who are representatives from the development, building, or real estate industries. And the first 2 are Commissioner Anderson.
All right. On this one, I would like to appoint Ms. Sandra Griffin, who is a business owner, and she does building within our district for the Impact Fee Advisory Board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Franklin. Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. And your next election for the Impact Fee Board.
And my next election will be Mr. John Azar for the Impact Fee Advisory Board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. All right, the next 2 board appointments for Impact Fee Advisory Board are for Vice Chair Hambrick.
Yes, I would like to appoint Ms. Kalima Ashby.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Second selection, Vice Chair.
Second selection is Ms. Zernona Woodson.
Who's that?
Renaud. Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Next selection is Commissioner Davis.
I'm going to ask that we hold both 34 and 35 until next board meeting.
Till next board meeting?
Correct.
Madam Clerk, you clear?
I'm clear, Mr. Chairman.
All right, that concludes our board recommendations.
Our next items are zoning hearings. Citizens may speak for or against an item that is considered by law to be a zoning decision, and each side will have 10 minutes to present its case. In the event there is more than one speaker, speakers must divide their time in order to complete their full presentation within the 10-minute time allotment. When the time runs out, the speaker will be expected to immediately cease speaking and leave the podium. Applicants or citizens speaking in favor shall speak first. Applicants in zoning ordinance cases shall have the right to reserve time for rebuttal. Opponents of a zoning decision item shall have no right of rebuttal. When speaking, speak directly into the microphone and begin by stating your name, address, and name of any organization you represent. Abusive, profane, or derogatory language will not be permitted. The first item is item number 36.
Good evening, Tier Street Tree Plan and Zoning Administrator. Items number 36 and 37, the applicant has requested to continue these two to the October agenda.
Okay.
All right, did they,
And the applicant is here.
okay, come forward, applicant.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Tyler McSwain, representative for Battle Law. We are going to request this to be tabled for 30 days until the October Board of Commissioners meeting.
October, what's the date?
18.
18.
October 18th.
All right, Commissioner Anderson, how would you like to proceed?
I would like to table this item to the October 18th, 2022 agenda.
That's her motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah, thank you.
Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Yes.
I was just trying to suggest, did you?
Well, I thought we were, you were talking about
36,
both
37.
items, right?
Yes, both items,
Is that,
36
of them.
and 37.
Oh, is there three?
oh, it's just two, I'm sorry.
It's just two items, it's
Okay.
36 and 37.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Item number 38, BOC 22060209. The applicant, Ramirez Gabriel, in care of Battle Law PC, is requesting to amend the future land use category for 9479 South Main Street. Jonesboro, Georgia 30236, from general commercial to light industrial to operate a wood pallet processing and storage facility. Said property consists of 3.24 acres, is located in the South Terra Boulevard Corridor Overlay District near American Legion Way between South Main Street and Terra Boulevard, and is further known as parcel 06032 033001. The plan and zoning is recommending approval, and ZAG recommend approval as well.
Okay, is the applicant present?
Hello again, Chairman and Commissioners. Tyler McSwain, representative of Battle Law, and the applicant, Gabriel Ramirez. The address 3562 Habersham at North Lake, Tucker, Georgia. We're here to represent the client for this particular property off of Main Street. This is the future land use map amendment that you all are voting on this petition. We're simply requesting to change the future land use map to light industrial to allow a manufacturing and wood pallet business at this location. This property is existing already. It's vacant right now. And the applicant wishes to go in. They're not making any changes on the outside of the building, but everything will be done inside of the building. So again, this particular petition for the future land use map is to allow the rezoning for light industrial land use. I'll be happy to answer any questions on that one.
Okay, I failed to ask you if you want to use any minutes for a rebuttal, so we'll just save you 2 minutes.
Okay, that's fine.
For any rebuttal. At this time, this is a public hearing, so is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of applicant's request? Anyone like to speak in favor of? Anybody like to speak in opposition to? Anybody opposed? Do you have anything additional, sir?
No, I will reserve the rest of that for the rezoning portion, just to give a little bit more details, but that's all I have for the future land use map amendment.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes, and we talked about, well, no, this is just the rezoning.
That's the.
Yes, I go ahead and move that we approve this as read.
All right, I'll second the motion. Are there any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Item number 39 is the second piece of this, which is the rezoning. The applicant Ramirez Gabriel, in care of Battle Law PC, is requesting to rezone property at 9479 South Main Street, Jonesboro, Georgia, 30236, from GB General Business to LI Light Industrial to operate a wood pallet processing and storage facility. Said property consists of 3.24 acres, is located in the South Terra Boulevard Corridor Overlay District near American Legion Way between South Main Street and Terra Boulevard, and is further known as parcel 06032033001. And staff is recommending approval.
Applicant. Reserve any minutes.
I don't take 5 minutes for me.
5?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Again, this is the rezoning component for this request. Again, the site is existing. We do know that the property is located within the Terra Boulevard overlay. Our client is aware of that the landscaping, they are going to be doing some planting out there. They're also agreeing to resurface the parking for this development. Again, there are no additional buildings being placed on this property. Everything is existing. They're simply moving these pallets in that are used for the e-commerce for Clayton County. These things have to be broken down and used somewhere because a lot of the trucks use those for goods. So this is a place that is used for really around a industrial corridor on Main Street that fits in well with the area. Again, we appreciate staff's due diligence on this, and we are accepting the approval.
All right. Anybody would like to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone like to speak in favor of? Anybody like to speak in opposition to? Please come forward. Please put 10 minutes on the clock.
Good evening. My name is Jocelyn Williams. I live in the area, and the frontage that he's speaking of, it appears that it might change the appearance as you drive by. He says that it fits in, and he'll be doing, I didn't know if he said shrubbery or something, so that it will look like everything else in Terra Boulevard. I'm in opposition of it because once you start with one parcel, it has changed the, I think he says it's going to change the zoning. And once we change the zoning, it appears it's going to open up and change the frontage side. So that's why I'm in opposition. Once we get a corner, it appears it'll open because we're changing the zoning. So that's why I'm in opposition, and I appreciate you letting me speak. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Anybody else like to speak in opposition to? Mr. McSwain.
I wanted to at least try to address that comment in the best way as possible. Within Clayton County, I do know it is important that we improve the aesthetics for existing developments and also for new developments as well. The mention just to add in landscaping is to note that it is in the overlay. The overlay has specific design requirements. Unfortunately, this wouldn't warrant a land disturbance permit at this time, but given that information, we just want to make sure this looks the best in terms of aesthetics as possible. That's why we're adding the landscaping.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Davis.
And Mr. McSwain, we've also spoken about the aesthetics from not only the lot, but all the way to the curb to make sure on that entire corner lot is kept to a certain standard that is going to make that whole area look a little bit better than it looks today.
Yes, that's correct. So we want to also, any industrial land use, we typically want to screen it as much as possible. So we're going to put the most appropriate planting as close to the overlay as possible on this site to make sure we have the proper planting to eliminate any visibility for trucks or anything like that. Again, the product that's being broken down at this particular site will not be outside. Everything will be inside of the building.
Great. At this time, I move that we approve this processing facility.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all. See you in a second.
Item number 40 is BOC-2206-0212. The applicant, One Street Residential LLC, is requesting to amend the future land use category at 5880 or Dixie Road, Forest Park, Georgia, 30297 from medium density residential to mixed use, to develop an active senior living community, Living Faith Village, with a 150 unit multifamily residential and commercial development. Said property consists of 29.9185 acres, is located between Sylvia Drive and Morrow Road, and is further known as parcels 13110C B001, 13110D B030, 13110D B032, and 13110D B046. And the staff is recommend approval along with the zoning advisory group.
All right, this is the applicant present. Please come forward, sir. Would you like to reserve any minutes for rebuttal? How many? 2. One is good. All right. Put 9 on the clock, please.
Good evening. My name is Den Webb, 1105 West Peachtree Street, Atlanta, Georgia, 30309, here on behalf of One Street Residential. I've got a pretty big crowd with me here tonight, so I'm going to quickly introduce a few of them. Behind me somewhere is Dave Dixon and Brendan Barr. They're both principals with One Street. There are also some other members of the team here as well. We've got Pastor Jeremy Tuck in the back. I noticed him. Pastor Combs is here as well. I believe Pastor Tuck's going to come up and say a few words after I'm done. And I think we have a number of congregants in the room too as well. Amen.
That's why he was confident. He brought the Lord with you, huh?
Yeah. Hard to do better than that.
Yes, proceed on, sir.
So I've got a handout I'm going to use to try and speed this presentation along, but if you look at the first page, it just shows the location of the property. It's on the east side of Old Dixie Highway between Sylvia Drive and Morrow Road. As you heard, it consists of 3 tracts that total about 30 acres, and includes, of course, the Living Faith Tabernacle Church, which was developed in 2001. All 3 of the tracts are zoned RS10, and they show as MDR, medium density residential, on the future land use map. The second slide is just a little bit about One Street. They're a premier senior housing developer. You might have heard of them. There's something going on for One Street just down the road in Jonesboro. They're based in Atlanta. They've been in business for 34 years. They've developed about 8,400 units, and their motto is to develop, own, and manage. So these are long-term holders. They've got 15 properties under management right now, and again, as I mentioned, we've got one going up in Jonesboro, just down the road from here, and another in Riverdale. Slides 3 and 4 are the site plan. 3 is a little bit higher view, and 4 is a little bit closer view, but as you I'm sure know, this is a mixed-use development. It's for senior independent living, or as One Street likes to say, 62 or better, for folks 62 or better. As you see on the site plan, the development consists of 2 4-story buildings, and the interesting component here is that the westernmost portion of both of those buildings is a 5,000 square foot commercial area. So this is a mixed-use development with 5,000 square feet of commercial on the western side facing Old Dixie Highway. Each of these buildings has 75 units. They're 1 and 2 bedroom. The 1 bedroom units are 750 square feet, and the 2 bedroom units are 1,000 square feet. If you turn to slides 5 and 7, you'll see images of both the inside and outside of this development. You know, this development really has a ton of amenities. There's a club room, a fireside lounge, a cafe, a fitness and cardio studio, a library, business center, courtyard, grilling areas, community gardens, and the list goes on and on. It's a lot to do. If you look at the last 2 pages, you'll see the exterior elevations of what is being proposed. These are conceptual, but there is a condition that's being proposed with the rezoning that basically says that the final approval rests with the community development director, the chairman of the board, and the district commissioner. So ultimately what this looks like will be approved again by you at the development phase. As I think you know from the agenda, there are two things we need tonight. Number one is what I'm standing up here for now, the future land use amendment for the 29.9 acres we're requesting to go from MDR to MU. We also need a rezoning request, which will follow this, to rezone 10.29 acres of the property from RS 110 to MXR. There's a portion of this site that's not being redeveloped, not being rezoned, but it'll be developed at a later date. As you heard, staff is recommending approval on both applications. We had a recommendation of approval from the ZAG. And after the ZAG, we also set up a neighborhood meeting. We put flyers in a bunch of mailboxes and invited folks to come and talk. We had a very small but supportive crowd at that meeting. So we've not had any opposition to my knowledge up to this point. So for that reason, I think I'll abbreviate my presentation. I'll save my remaining time. And we'd ask for your recommendation of approval on the future land use map amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody here like to speak in favor of? No, everybody come running up at the same time. You know. Anybody like to speak in favor of? Pastor Tuck, come on down.
Chairman Turner and the board, I'm Pastor Jeremy Tuck. I have the privilege of pastoring Living Faith Tabernacle, located on 5880 Old Dixie Road in Forest Park. Living Faith has been in the community for 20 years. And in those 20 years, our food pantry has been a staple for folks that are in need. In addition to our food pantry, we've also given away homes in lieu of our widow project to ensure that our widows have stable housing and stable places to live. With that being said, 3 years ago, Living Faith got together and we decided that we wanted to change evolution and do something different and be the church that leads the charge in our community. We noticed that our market was being ignored, and we noticed that no one was doing anything to make our community look like an oasis. So we got together as a team and decided that we wanted to do something in affordable housing, but not just anything in affordable housing, something that looked aesthetically approving. The same thing that you see in Buckhead was the same thing that we wanted to see on our campus, on our property, in Clayton County, because we believe in our county and we believe in what we're doing in this community, which has led us to this point and led us to this place. And so I'm excited because Living Faith gets the opportunity to not only evolve, but we get the opportunity to make an impact in our community, and we get the opportunity to show folks that this is how we do church, not just going to church every Sunday, but transforming our community by the way people live, especially our seniors. And so I'm grateful for this project, and I'm grateful for your consideration, and I'm excited, and I hope that this will be many more opportunities to stand before you as Living Faith plans to lead the charge on many other things in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else like to speak in favor of? Is there anybody else like to speak in favor of?
About to make me
I've
stand
got
up.
something to say.
Come on up here, Mr. Garber.
Madam Clerk, Mickey Garber, unincorporated Rex, Georgia. I want you to know, all of you, that I am in favor of this community development. However, I want to know that their construction is going to offer safety to the people and the highest degree of security there for our elderly people not to come victims to unjust people. That's what I want to say. But you need to check and make sure this construction meets those requirements. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else like to speak in favor of? Anybody else? Anybody want to speak in opposition to? Anybody opposed? Anybody opposed? All right, sir, you got 1 minute if you want to use it.
I'll just touch on the point that was just raised about safety and security. This is One Street's business. You know, they've been doing this for 34 years. Safety and security is their highest priority during construction and after. So they want to take care of the structures they're putting up and the people who are going to live in those structures. That is a priority. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hambrick.
Yes, I would like to say thank you, Pastor Tuck, and all. I did go to meet with Pastor Tuck and some other members, and with the with some of the other advisors to this project. As a matter of fact, we saw one in, was it Fayette County, I believe, that is just absolutely beautiful and all. And if we have anything like that on Old Dixie, I'm telling you, you're right, Pastor, we're coming up. So I would like to approve BOC-2206-0212 to amend the future land use map.
Second.
Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next.
Item number 41, BOC-2206-0211. The applicant, One Street Residential LLC, is requesting to rezone property located at 5880 Old Dixie Road, Forest Park, Georgia 30297 from RS110 single-family residential to MXR mixed-use residential to develop an active senior living community, Living Faith Village with 150-unit multifamily residential and commercial development. Said property consists of 10.8984 acres, is located between Sylvia Drive and Morrow Road, and is further known as parcels 13110C B001, 13110D B030, 13110D B032, and 13110D B046. Staff is recommending approval with one condition: the elevation shall be approved by the Director of Community Development, the Chairman, and the District Commissioner. And Zach recommended approval as well. The elevations that are in this presentation were received on Friday night. And so just to let the Commissioner know.
Applicant.
Good evening.
Minutes for rebuttal.
1 minute.
1 minute. All right.
Den Webb, I didn't need it all last time. We'll see if I can do better. Den Webb.
Surprised you didn't say 30 seconds.
I thought about it. You never know. Den Webb, 1105 West Peachtree Street, Atlanta, Georgia 30309. I'm going to adopt and incorporate my previous comments for this presentation as well, and simply ask for your recommendation of approval on the rezoning. The only point I'll make on the elevations are, again, we will be coming back to you, to the district rep, and to the community development director at the time of development to get approval and make sure we're all on the same page with what these buildings are going to look like.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody like to speak in favor of? Anyone like to speak in favor of? Come, please.
Darlene Johnson, unincorporated Clayton County, Rex, Georgia. I would like to speak in favor of these. They look amazing. Okay. I'd like to know, though, with it being 4 stories, are there elevators in these facilities, in the buildings?
He's nodding his head, so yes, there'll be elevators.
Thanks.
Anybody else like to speak in favor of? Anyone like to speak in opposition to? Anybody opposed? Would you like to use your 1 minute?
I'll wait it.
All right, Commissioner Hambrick.
Okay. I would like for someone, I guess the director, to give an explanation regarding the elevations approval and why it's not the entire board.
Mr. Chairman, good evening, Vice Chair and Commissioners. The reason for that is, as you all know, as we have this new construction, this is a massive construction, that we try as the best as we can to make sure that what is shown during the process, both in the community meetings, in the zoning advisory board, and what the board sees, end up being exactly what gets built. So we are trying to put in place encouraging builders and developers. When you're showing us or giving us an idea what you're going to build, let it be exactly what shows up at the final end. So what happened is that we actually have what you're looking at on the screen is the product they're going to build. But we're requiring them with that one condition to double check to make sure that this is what the citizens are signing up for. And that's the reason why we're doing it.
Okay, so now will that require a different meeting or the same type of meeting? That we
No,
have?
not this type of meeting. It's once we have the final elevation, it gets sent to you and the chairman. Yeah, it doesn't require a board hearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is this something that's going to be done throughout? the
Administratively,
county?
yeah.
Ongoing.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
to make sure that the
Yeah,
district
just to make
commission
sure,
is
yeah.
pleased with it. Okay,
Yeah.
I got you. Any other questions? Okay, it's on you, Commissioner Hammer.
Oh, okay. Well, I would like to approve, for the board to approve BOC-2206-0211, the rezoning of RS 110 to MXR for the senior living community.
What about a condition?
Yes, with one condition. And do we need to read that into the, that's fine, okay. With that one condition.
All right, is there a second?
I second it.
Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Yes, sir. As you leave out, if you could do it quietly, I appreciate it. Thank you all for coming, Pastor. It's good to see you, Pastor Tuck.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. I'm going to give you back to Terrence.
Good evening. Staff would like to introduce Angela Rambo, who is the Planning Director for TCF, and we're going to be trading off regarding the presentations.
Okay.
So just want to introduce her.
All right. And give me the last name again.
Rambo,
Rambo. I
Angela
can remember
Rambo,
that.
yes.
All
Good
right.
evening again.
Welcome.
Thank you. Next, we have number 42. BOC 2206-0214, and this is an amendment to the future land use map. The applicant, Dior Horton, has requested to amend the future land use map category for the property located at 950 Highway 138, Jonesboro, Georgia, from mixed use to high-density residential to develop a 77-unit townhome development. Said property consists of approximately 10.88 acres, is located in the North Terra Boulevard Overlay District between North Main Street and Highway 138, and is further known as parcel 13209A, A001. Showing the zoning maps, site plan. The staff has recommended approval, and the ZAG has also recommended approval.
All right, is there applicant present? Please come forward.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Tiffany Hogan on behalf of D.R. Horton, 1371 Dogwood Drive, Conyers, Georgia.
And would you like to reserve any minutes for rebuttal?
Yes, sir, I would. I would like to reserve 4 minutes for rebuttal.
Okay, place 6 on the clock, please. Yes, ma'am. Proceed.
Thank you. As stated by staff, this project is located on North Main Street. This is a project that is 10.88 acres after discovering an easement that existed. So if commissioners had the original application, it did state 11 acres, but during some of the engineering, we discovered there was an easement, so it is 10.88 acres. The plan is for 77 units. They are 2-car garage units that range anywhere from 1,846 square feet to 1,888 square feet. They are 3-bedroom units.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Did you say the development was on North Main Street?
It is located off of North Main, yes, sir. And actually, let me go back to the map. Here's the site here.
Okay.
So it's at the corner of North Main and 138. It's the site that's orange on the site plan. This is the proposed site plan here. So again, 77 units with the entrance off of Highway 138. There is a mail kiosk when you come into the mail entrance, that's just to the left there, with guest parking spaces and parking for the mail kiosk. Directly behind that is located an amenity area that will include a fire pit area as well as some other seating for a gathering area. There is a requirement for 5% open space with the zoning that we seek for this project. We are proposing 44.85% open space with the project. We are seeking to rezone it from UV to RM and a future land use map amendment, as you heard, to high-density residential in order to account for the townhome units. The units are 24-foot units, and there are 14 guest parking spaces that are provided. ZAG has recommended 5 conditions as a part of their approval. Condition number 1 has already been satisfied. We have provided the traffic study to staff on a couple of different occasions. Number 5 is a requirement for D.R. Horton projects anyway. We always have a mandatory HOA. These are for sale units. We have no problem at all with providing one trash service for the entire development. That language would be included in the governing documents for the community, as well as installing no parking signs during the development of the site. Condition number 2 is a bit vague. We would proffer a little sensitive. We would proffer this condition instead so that it has some way of actually checking when the recommendations that are provided by the traffic study. So this language says, prior to issuance of the first certificate of occupancy, the applicant shall make any improvements recommended by the traffic impact study, provided the improvements are approved by the Department of Transportation. All design and construction will be subject to Department of Transportation review and approval. So instead of condition number 2 that is proffered by ZAG, that is a little bit vague, we would proffer that condition instead. And that is an image of the front of the units and the rear of the units. And I would entertain any questions and reserve my remaining time for rebuttal.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody here who'd like to speak in favor of?
I got a little something to say. Commissioners, I may have missed this, but did council say there would be no rentals in this property? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no rentals. There will be a homeowners association and sidewalks on the main thoroughfare.
That's what
That's all there.
Yes.
Okay, security. Again, I'm going to preach security. Is there going to be security in and out and one way in and out of this community?
That's up to the developer, but
Up to the
but we do
developer?
have an excellent police department.
We do, and I'm in close relationship with all our county employees. However, it takes us all to live in a clean, safe, environmental community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak in favor of? Anybody want to speak in opposition to? Anybody opposed? come forward.
Good evening, Jocelyn Williams. The opposition that I'm speaking of is I've been here since 1992. Infrastructure, building wonderful, outstanding things. My concern is for the influx that's coming in, the traffic. I'm a teacher. I get up at 4:30, leave home by 5:15, so I won't be in traffic. And as a teacher, I come home at 6:15. To make sure I'm not in traffic. I just wanted to put my opposition because of the infrastructure, because of the traffic going to and from the area, and I didn't know if anything was being built, but as far as the main thoroughfares, most of them are 2 lanes, some are 3 lanes, but it's just difficult for the residents as we see this wonderful influx, but nothing is being done to do the infrastructure. Thank you for your kindness.
Thank you. Anybody else? Ma'am, would you like to rebuttal?
Thank you, Commissioners. So sidewalks will be completely around the exterior of the property and connecting to any existing sidewalks that are in the area as well. We recognize that this is a high-traffic area, and we absolutely want the community to be able to take advantage of that and have a safe place to walk from their community back to the community, as well as within the community. We are also providing for sidewalks on both sides of the street internal to the project as well. As far as the traffic, again, we have provided a traffic impact study that was conducted by traffic engineers, and that study has been provided, is my understanding, to the commissioners for review as well, and there were no significant recommendations or impact from the 77 units determined by the traffic engineers. I would be happy to entertain any questions from the commissioners.
Commissioner Davis.
I do, and actually it's more for Mr. Njike. If you can come on up, please. To me, right now, there's still a lot of unknowns here, and my big thing is the pedestrian safety and the traffic congestion or potential of congestion. I've not seen that traffic study. Can you elaborate on that a little?
I have not seen it either, Commissioner. The transportation study would have been a document that will be sent to Transportation and Development for them to review and send feedback.
Thank you. Right now, I'm sorry.
No, I just want to ask Mr. GK, what's
Yes.
the prices on the townhomes? If you can answer that.
The applicant should be.
The applicant should.
Please come back up here, ma'am.
These homes, right, as of today, with the current market conditions, these are estimated to begin starting price point right at $300,000.
For me, right now, I think there's a lot of unknowns here that need to be addressed and sought out. And I'm not comfortable making a decision here today. With this, I would like to table this so that we can sit down and have a further discussion on some of the issues. I'm looking at some of my notes from our previous meeting versus now, and there's just some information that is not being fluid for me right now.
Would you be opposed to tabling until when, Commissioner Davis?
Well, until the October 18th, if possible, and that would be for both of them, if they want to get together and discuss.
Thank you, Commissioners. I do just want to reiterate that we did provide the study multiple times. I want it to be clear that it was not on our part, that it was not provided. I apologize for whatever reason that was not then passed on to the Commissioners. We obviously are We would prefer not to be tabled, but we would take tabling over being denied. It does create a contract issue with negotiating the time, and that is unfortunate for an area that is in need of housing. We want to bring a quality project, and we are more than willing to continue to have meetings with you, Commissioner.
Thank you. And what we can do is, before you leave out of here tonight, is to set up a time and a date when we can meet.
Absolutely.
Immediately. So for that, numbers 42 and 43, I'd like to table until the October 18th meeting.
Mr. Ray, you have something?
Yeah, just so that the clerk is clear that there was a public hearing on 42, but not on 43.
Yeah, ma'am, you're in agreement with tabling it until October 18th?
We are.
All right, well, the motion is to table. Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Are there any questions? And that's both items, 42 and 43.
Thank you.
Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Issue unanimous.
Okay. Yes. Item number 44 on your agenda, BOC 2207-0219. The applicant, Inline Communities LLC, care of Battle Law PC, is requesting a site plan modification for property located at 804 Highway 85, Riverdale, Georgia, to relocate the required detention pond to obtain a land disturbance permit for a proposed 127-unit townhome development. Said property consists of approximately 15.5 acres, is located at the corner of Webb Road and Highway 85, and is further known as parcel 13215C B009. The staff recommends approval of these changes with conditions. The zoning advisory group has also recommended approval with conditions. Conditions are as follows. The development shall be within general conformity with the applicant's site plan with revision date of 6/30/22 and presentation. All townhome units to have a minimum of 2-car garages. 3 shall provide a decorative fence within the buffers of road frontages on Webb Road and Highway 85. Road access and the right-of-way improvements are subject to the approval of the Clayton County Transportation and Development Department prior to the approval of an LDP site development application. And the detention pond must not encroach upon the buffer or setbacks.
Applicant.
I must wait for you to call me. I didn't.
No, you have to come on up here, Ms. Battle. We thought we had ran you off or something.
Sitting in the wings back
Yeah, I
there. Let
see,
Tyler
I
do
see.
all the hard, heavy lifting.
Good to see.
Michelle Battle with Battle Law, here representing the applicant. Look, he has to prep me because, you know, I don't know anything.
You like to save any for rebuttal?
5 minutes is fine.
5 minutes.
We will not belabor the point here. This particular application, as staff has already indicated, we actually had approved a couple of sessions ago. And unfortunately, around the time that it was being approved, the engineer discovered that there was an issue with the location of the detention facility. We can go, I guess we can work our way through here. I know you all know about inline, so again, we won't belabor the point. The main thing here is that on the original site plan, the detention pond was going to be located here in the upper right-hand corner of the site. And we discovered that that was actually not the appropriate location based on the topography and the hydrology study that was performed. So it has now been moved into the center of the site. We've also made a few adjustments with regards to the layout, which we actually think are improvements over the original layout. For example, we've gotten rid of the parking lot that was right up front. It's more integrated into the site. So just little things like that that we believe actually have helped with the overall layout, and we would respectfully request approval of the conditions as presented by staff.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody like to speak in favor of? Anyone in favor?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Garber,
Something to say again.
come forward.
Mickey Garber, Unincorporated Rex, Georgia, Madam Clerk. I'm in favor of new neighbors coming into our community and having them as neighbors. However, when y'all approve these things under conditions, I think as you write out the conditions, that in order us to preserve our community, no rentals, that's what we're overflowing with, is industrialization of rentals coming into our community and putting out homeowners. The degree of home ownership in the community, in our county, is very, very important. And we're losing that rapidly. Also, to have stated in the approval conditions, you should always have printed in their HOAs. And as far as trash pickup goes and one provider, yes, in that situation, I am in favor of a one provider pickup in a townhome community. I want to make that clear before we go to public comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in favor of? Anybody in opposition to? Anybody opposed? Ms. Battle, you have any closing remarks?
I'd like to make it clear that on this particular project, it was approved as a multifamily product. That was made very clear when we first started this process. We did, in fact, across the street was a fee simple project, so we bought both fee simple into this corridor as well as the apartments. We are adjacent to apartments. We're on a major thoroughfare. We believe this is the right spot for this type of a project. And again, this was already approved. The only thing that we're changing here was the location of the detention pond. And we actually thought that that could have been done as a minor modification, but was told by staff that we had to come back through this process for that. So that's why we're here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Franklin.
Yes, Ms. Battle. I have some questions for you first.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for that explanation, and you still owe us for Mr. Tyler McSwain. Tyler, thank you. When you were working here, you looked at all documents. I appreciated you able to answer questions, and now you moved on. So now to this. Looking to the right with what you changed, and I know we discussed that it was based on retention pond, but they are now showing all of it in the center as you talked about, but there are a couple of other extra blue spaces. Explain those for us, please, because it looks like it went from one concentrated body to now you got pockets. What is that about?
So I'm going to let Brian Musoff, he's going to talk a little bit about the...
Speak to it.
Okay.
Brian Musoff, Inline Communities. So because we started moving forward once we got the rezoning last time and we submitted the zoning to staff, we've actually also already gotten the comments back from the Water District Department. And part of the regulations requires not just detention, but also what's called bioswales, and so infiltration. And so what you see on the right-hand side is what is a requirement by the county to infiltrate any stormwater, regardless if it's hitting impervious surface or not. And so it's a requirement. So we're over detaining across the entire site, and there'll be less water leaving this site than there was pre-development as it is in its natural state today.
Okay, awesome. The other thing, don't go anywhere. Other thing as well, but are those swelling areas is just where the water's going to run off? Or are you going to actually add to those spaces to contain it for a period of time?
Yeah, so it's infiltration. So what they do is it actually infiltrates into the ground. So they're swales. The water doesn't run off anywhere. It actually infiltrates back into the ground, recharges the groundwater system or the aquifer underneath the ground. So it doesn't actually run off.
Detention pond, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, it's not a exactly. It's not a detention pond that runs off. It's actually they're actually called bioswales is what is a requirement.
I got you. So guess what? Unfortunately, we got some issues. The reason why I say that is because I'm dealing with a lot of issues in District 3 where they have the areas that are for the swales, as you're speaking of. We went out to a townhome. Your folks went over there with us, Chief and the resilience officer, where we had the swell area that has gotten so much larger. So my concern is, unfortunately, it's not as easy as a fix as you're stating, because down the road, it creates problems for us.
I don't disagree at all, but it's a requirement from your staff that we've tried to approach them about it. We agree that we don't agree that they long-term are in the best interest of the homeowners who are going to live in here, or in this state, to us who will actually have to take care of it. But it is a requirement, and you cannot get a permit in this county without
and I'm clear on that.
Them.
And some things we're still fixing, but you're going to lose those properties right there. There's no way in good conscience that I can approve this, whether it's because of staff, because I know you all brought to me that you were moving the retention pond, but at the same token, this is changing a lot. And I need a little bit more clarification. Unless you're willing to lose those lots back there in the areas that we're requiring, then we need to do a deeper dive. The other thing before you get into it, Ms. Battle, because we're relocating it, and I'm dealing with this again on another property, got emails of complaints. People were dumping trash in the retention ponds all over, and then we're having to constantly cite and clean it up. I got voicemails as recent as of today. So what I would suggest, since it's going to be in the middle, then we should look more to having something there like the historic 4th Ward, where they've actually gone in and repurposed those retention ponds to encourage folks to be able to keep them beautiful, as opposed to thinking that they're a dumping ground because you've just put a fence around it and some trees, until all of a sudden you start seeing couches and everything else there.
So we've got a couple of things that are kind of hitting us all at one time. So
yeah,
the first thing is that the property under contract right now, we are really at a critical moment with the seller. And we have gone through this process, and quite honestly, when we came through it initially, we had been told that there was not going to be an issue with the adjustment with the detention pond. That turned out not to be the case. And so we tried to go through the minor modification process in order to get this done. It has taken us a significant amount of time, longer than we had hoped for, to get through this process. The adjustment with the pond location, we now at least have the hydro study and we know where the pond should be located at. My suggestion would be that, with all due respect, if we could approve it without it being conditioned such that we have no ability to address your concerns. The way that we know where the ponds in general have to be. The question that you have is really one that impacts more than just our project, because you're talking about how the code is requiring us to do something that is, in your opinion, not in the best interest of the community. And that's going to take more than simply bringing us back in another month, because that's not something that you can technically vary. So what I would suggest is that if we can approve with it being in general conformity with the site plan, with staff understanding, because in my opinion, this could have been addressed through the minor modification process in the first instance, because it was the topo of the property and the hydrology study that we don't do until you actually get in for your LDP that necessitated this change. So it's that very narrow interpretation that staff has right now of an approval of a site plan that caused us to have to come back before the board, as opposed to us just working this out with you and with staff. So what we would ask is if we could approve it, but as a general conformity, with maybe even a statement of your concern regarding those bioswales, because from our perspective, we don't want them. If we can get rid of them, we'd be more than happy to do so. And so that comes into a question with staff and with your watershed management department.
Gotcha.
And so we would just ask that it be clear, I think, where'd Patrick go?
I don't know.
A minute ago. That be made clear to staff and to Patrick that you want that issue addressed. And we're more than happy to address it.
You're right. And let me just...
and one last thing about the detention pond. Because this is a apartment complex, we are going to be managing, so you're not going to have the issues. First of all, we can't call you to clean up the detention pond, because the detention pond is 100% on this landowner. So they have to maintain it. They have to keep it clean. If code enforcement comes by and it's got trash and debris in it, then we're going to get cited for it. So it is incumbent upon us to have proper maintenance of that pond. So that the issue that you're referring to should not occur, and these units are going to be a higher end unit in terms of how they're being rented out. So this is a market rate project, and there's going to be an expectation of it staying in a pristine manner.
Awesome. All right, so you're not going to make it look like the historic fourth ward. You hit everything but that. You want approval today.
What would that entail? I don't know what you want more than
just make it aesthetically pleasing.
Just
if you
want it
want
to be
to work on
aesthetically
it.
pleasing.
Don't just put a fence up and then people got to look at it that way.
We are fine with that, and have no problem making sure that we provide something professionally landscaped around the detention.
All right. I'm sorry that someone from staff told you that this could be done, and then it still had to come before the board. That is concerning. But as you stated, and hopefully everyone can know, this was already pre-approved some time ago. We went through this entire process. But the change in the retention pond is what we're looking at. But at the same token, there are some other concerns that still exist, whether or not you all were told that or not, but they do exist. So with the bioswales, that is a problem. For this meeting today, I'm going to go ahead and approve, but with the condition that that you all will make sure that you communicate with this board, not just community development, because I don't know if they're reading everything and see it and it's going to send it to this board, so that we can make sure, and I can make sure, that the citizens who I serve are going to be taken care of. Otherwise, again, you're going to lose those extra properties.
Okay. We have no problem. We will talk with staff again about the bioswales.
Okay.
Because it sounds like that's the biggest issue, and also the landscaping around the detention pond. And we will report back to you.
Okay.
I'll make sure Tyler gets back in touch with everybody.
So we're going to go ahead and approve it with the condition of
I don't want us in trouble.
And a conformity, a general conformity, with making sure that the final information comes back to us when you're ready to build with the bioswales, and making the retention pond a little bit beautiful.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you accept those, though?
Wholeheartedly, yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, but motion's been made. Is there a second?
I second it.
Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, our final item on the agenda is public comment. The board will now hear public comments. Citizens will be given 2 minutes maximum time limit to speak before the Board of Commissioners with a total time of 20 minutes. Please note that all public comments must be limited to matters on the agenda or over matters which the governing body has jurisdiction. Speakers must maintain decorous demeanor and refrain from personal attacks upon board members, shouting and using obscene language. Please state your name and county of residency for the record. Speak clearly into the microphone, and speakers should be courteous, respectful, and not make any disparaging remarks or use abusive language when addressing the board.
Aretha Inslee.
Good evening, Chairman Turner and Commissioners. Aretha Inslee, unincorporated, Clayton County, Hampton. Where the world lands and the opportunities take off. Do we truly believe these words? You have voted to turn parts of District 1 to become a truck haven, create unhealthy environment, polluted air, destruction of the roads and highways infrastructure, dangerous roads, lack of street lights and sidewalks. Everyone talked about that today. Infrastructure. You vote to allow building of all types of overpriced housing that most citizens can't even afford. You voted to move public comment at the end of the meeting. Why? You want to silence the citizens because they do not see eye to eye with your decisions? It is so ironic that you smile in our faces, go to our churches, beg for our votes, but you do not do everything you can to attempt to silence us. Why is that? What are you afraid of? Your decision-making is ruining this county. As Michael Jackson says, take a look in the mirror.
Darlene Johnson.
Good evening, Chairman, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. Darlene Johnson, unincorporated, Rex, Georgia. I have a couple of items that I want to bring before the board. As a board member, as the chairperson for the Board of Elections and Registration, or just a board member, I am on a board that fortunately receives a stipend. And I've been on the board, this is going in my 4th year. The first 2 years, I had no issues with the stipend. Something changed in how they are reporting our stipend, because now doing my taxes, I'm listing as a business owner, and we're not a business. And so I would just like for you guys to look into what changed in the system that has taken us from just receiving a stipend and reporting our stipends on our taxes. I don't have an issue with paying taxes on $100, but it's the way it's being reported now. It's got us listed as business owners for the Board of Commissioners, Clayton County Board of Commissioners. So I would appreciate it if you can look into that, and if there is a way to address it. I'm not sure. I do understand that we have to be accounted for. So either we've been listed as sole proprietors and owners of businesses, but we're not owners of businesses. So if you can investigate that, I would appreciate it. I did get to speak to Ms. Torrey. I was so glad to see her because I had a senior approach me last week at the senior center, and she's just devastated. She's grieving, and she was talking about grief and requesting and asking, why can't we have grief counseling at our senior centers to deal with our seniors as they grieve? My 2 minutes up.
And also, in reference to your first question, if you make an appointment to talk to Ms. Merritt there, she might be able to shed some light on your questions.
Okay, thank you.
I have something to our wait.
Commissioner.
Mr. Chair, I had that conversation with Ms. Merritt, and it's not her, it's the current system.
Okay.
I do agree with you. I know that the county has chosen to take that method. They also even pay our aides and their additional pay that way. But we're consistently in this county doing something as a workaround, which really is not accurate and which is causing issues for people. And so you are filling out a form saying that you are a vendor, i.e. a business owner, but you don't even have a business license.
Right.
And that is problematic. I have had that conversation with finance, and that's part of the reason that we have these audits going on, to look at our processes and our procedures. I've been talking about this since I came into office.
Okay.
Since I came into office, a lot of things that we do are inconsistent with the way that they possibly could or should be done, particularly in the financing area. So I am particularly working through that myself.
It just showed up last year.
No, you're right.
The first 2 years, I didn't have the issue. When I did my taxes last year was the first year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started getting questions about it, and I just was confused as to what changed.
Hopefully with new people in that space, Stacy has a mound of things she's working through. I'm hoping they could get through some of that as well, but I agree with you.
Okay, and I appreciate you all moving the comments back up so I can come to the meetings. Thank you.
Mickey Garber.
It's so nice to hear you call me up. I'm starting to feel like I was forcing myself on you.
We like people to volunteer, so.
Madam Clerk, Mickey Garber, unincorporated, Rex, Georgia. I want to speak to the situation of trash and litter. And I want you to know there's two elements that's different. The trash and dumping is separate from littering, and mandatory trash pickup is not going to solve your littering problem. You are misguided, misinformed, and misjudging to think that mandatory trash pickup is going to solve our problem. Within the neighborhoods, they are clean, and code enforcement already takes care of that problem. Dumping is on open, undeveloped properties, and is the responsibility of all of us to keep our properties clean. In closing, Miss Edie Young, who sat on the Solid Waste Board, her time is up, and the new appointment by Commissioner Dr. Anderson, I hope your new, Madam Anderson, please look at me while I'm speaking, please. I hope your new appointment is a proponent of keeping Clayton clean and beautiful, and to let everybody know to preach this in our schools, in our churches, in conversation. Keeping Clayton clean and beautiful is the responsibility of all of us. Thank you. My time is up, so there'll be no questions.
Carol Yancey.
Carol Yancey, Rex, Georgia. The three women on this board operate today as a glass house, throwing stones, levying criticism and falsehoods at African Children Fund, Chairman Turner, and various current and former county directors, creating and perpetuating a hostile, unproductive, and stressful work environment for all county staff, with a negative impact, giving a negative image for the county residents. The women should remove the cobwebs from themselves and sweep around their own door before pointing fingers at others. Collectively, the three women and their constituent aides have 6 office phones. 69 email addresses, and 1 shared fax number with a minimum of 3 cell phones, all paid by county funds. Yet, we can't get them to respond to us, whether it's inquiry by phone, email, or town hall meetings. We continue to be censored. On September 14th, Ms. Inslee and I presented before the Clayton County Legislative Delegation on behalf of our group that we started 4 years ago, a request for legislation to create an independent ethics board with the authority to properly address citizens and staff concerns regarding commissioners' unethical conduct and violation of laws. Also, the current ethics board is out of compliance, violating their own ordinance. 4 of the 7 current board members have been on the board since its inception, June 2016, all expired terms, which include Mr. Walter Nitz, who has also been the chairman since January 2018. Another issue, the stipend, $100 to $125 monthly stipends paid to the 7 members, which clearly shows a waste of our tax dollars. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That concludes public comment. Is there a need for executive session?
Yes, on litigation personnel and real estate.
All right, I'll make a motion to go into executive session for real estate, personnel, and litigation. Is there a second?
I second it.
Commissioner Davis second the motion. Any questions? He said it before you did. He said it before you did. All right, those in favor, aye. Those opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you, everybody. Be safe. All right, motion to reconvene. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Mr. Stanford.
Yes, Chairman, Board of Commissioners. We would ask on behalf of the clerk of the Board of Commissioners, on behalf of Clerk Courtney Russian, to move her salary to $66,587.73 with an effective date of her hire to take effect immediately as of tonight, based upon the board's approval.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there? All right, who made the motion?
It don't matter.
Everybody
One
doing
do
things
one
in
and one
unison
second.
now.
I couldn't
See?
even
So moved. So moved.
Commissioner Anderson made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hambrick. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.